Greetings. Okay, it being 7 o'clock, I'll call this meeting of the Shutesbury. Actually, hold on a second. Do we have a quorum? Okay,
Yeah.
not yet. Let me hold my horses for one moment then.
Hopefully we'll get a quorum.
Well, I expect we'll see hopefully Ashley, Steve, and Tom. Wow. All right. Okay, we have Tom here. Hey, Tom. That does make a quorum, so I will call this meeting of the Shutesbury Planning Board to order. I will note that the meeting is being recorded. I'll also welcome Ashley Pycroft to the meeting.
Hello.
So we have Michael De Chiara, Jeff Weston, Ashley Pycroft, and myself from the planning board. We have Tom Seifert as an associate, which I will designate Tom as a full member. And the first item on our agenda is public comment. And if I could just get a show of hands for how many people would like to provide public comment today? I see Sanford, Sharon, anyone else? Zipporah. Is there anyone else that, Henry? So I've got about four people. Leslie. Okay, I've got five. Okay. So what I would like to do is just given, I'm going to extend public comment a little bit based on the interest of the public in this matter. However, we do have quite a bit to get to tonight. So I do want to limit public comment to about 10 minutes. And I believe so with five hands up in the air, I'm going to say we'll shoot for about 2 minutes apiece. Say, hmm. All right, who's the brave person who wants to go first? So it'd be Sanford. We'll let Sanford go first.
All
Say
right.
about
Uh,
2 minutes.
two minutes is going to be less than I have to say. So I'll just say that as an environmental lawyer, I recognize that the data center issue is really an industrial regulatory issue and that the town is not equipped to handle it. You've done your best in writing the bylaw. You have some interesting amendments that you're going to look at this evening that would strengthen it, but it still is basically a regulating a high-tech, fast-evolving, nuisance-inflicting industry. Hundreds of communities all across the country are discovering that data centers are not good neighbors. They're gathering this weekend to share notes from across the country. There's substantial fiscal and energy consumption issues that are clearly not addressed. Um, uh, as I sent in a note to the planning board, I believe that with the evolving technology, you could be looking at a 5,000 square foot data center that would actually um, be significantly more energy consumption than our town, leading to risk of blackouts and increased rates. Um, this is no time to lift the moratorium. At a minimum, we need to keep learning from other communities. If you don't edit the draft before you in the way that it's shown in the draft that you have pending, it would be imposing extraordinary burdens on neighbors and the environment, and would quickly become something that the planning board would regret, as we're forced to do combat with well-funded developers determined to literally blanket the earth with data centers. You have some good edits to the bylaw on your agenda for today, but because of the bigger concerns, I don't think it's ready. It would not be prudent, and legally, you'd have a problem with the open meeting law and the zoning laws to not to try to go to town meeting with this. So I guess that's probably about 2 minutes. So I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Sanford. All right. Who would like to be next? How about Henry?
Well, I want to commend, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay. I want to commend you for the updates on that bylaw, especially around the noise, which I was very concerned about. You cover a lot of ground there. That said, I still think it may be premature to go forward with this. I have concerns about the 5,000 square foot measure and the potential for there to be unlimited number of these, at least from what I read in the bylaw. So that, among other things, I think that we could look at some improvements, maybe perhaps some more research looking at other communities who have dealt with this as well. Shouldn't do this on our own. Anyway, I'll keep my comments to that.
Thank you, Henry. Okay. How about Leslie?
Well, thank you. First, I want to say ditto on everything that Sanford said. And having spoken to some neighbors and friends in town, everybody's like, no way, don't want it. So if it does come to town meeting, I would vote no. And I know many other people are afraid if this goes forward, and they will vote no as well. I don't think it's ready. I didn't check out all the extra things that you might have put on there since I looked at the March meeting, but I will say that I'm against it. I'm against any data centers being in town, and I'm also against it and will vote no if it does come to town meeting. And again, everything that Sanford said, I agree with. Thank you.
Leslie, thank you. Okay. Let's see. How about Sharon?
Hi, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak here today. I was part of Smart Solar Shutesbury, and we were trying to stop the solar power plants that were proposed for our town, but at least the solar had some redeeming virtues, that it was going to bring some renewable energy to this ailing planet. And these data centers have zero plus side for the climate. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. They take huge amounts of electricity in order to air cool them. And that electricity is about 65% non-renewable energy. And also, potential to create heat zones and pollution and terrible things in case of a fire. And I feel like it's really important to know that we are protected from data centers right now. And this bylaw opens a door to data centers, and so right now we're protected. The bylaw, unlike most bylaws, this bylaw is opening the door to data centers, and we are protected from them right now. So I am so against this bylaw altogether and think that we should not bring it to town meeting, that we should stay closed. And one other small point is that we don't know yet, and I don't know if there's even been any research about this, like what's the benefit for the town would be, quote, tax revenues, but we have no idea what those would be yet. Like, what kind of benefit would this even bring to the town? And so I think it's irresponsible to bring the bylaw forward when we don't even know what the benefits would be. and countering that with some of the infrastructure the town would have to cover in order to even make room for that, it could be a blanket financial loss for the town. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but that's the important thing, is that we don't know. So why should we even open the door? We could do this next year. At that time, technology might have really advanced to be not so environmentally damaging. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, Zipporah?
Yeah, hi, thanks. I didn't see a way to raise my hand on the toolbar there.
Okay,
So I really appreciate all the work that this committee has put into this. I know it's really a lot of time and energy. And I think there's still some big problems with this draft. So I think sending it to town meeting is a little rushed. And I think there should be another public hearing before it goes to town meeting, and town council should attend. And in terms of the draft itself, for me, the biggest thing is there's no limit on the number of data centers or the total power consumption. And the environmental harms from heat, noise, and clearing forest compounds with each one that's built. And then the more power they take, the more likely it is that residents will have higher rates for electricity and possibly brownouts or blackouts. And if they were built near each other, which would make sense, I think, from an engineering perspective, then if there was a fire, then it would just like spread to the others and it would be even more disastrous. So at this point, I don't think that the fiscal advantages, which are hypothetical at this point, are worth the tremendous risks. And since the technology is evolving very fast, if we waited a few years, it could be a lot safer. There could be safer batteries. There could be better heat management. There could be less noise. And the whole problem might just go away because, they might go into space or something. So I think, we should just wait.
Zipporah, thank you. Okay, I see just three more hands up, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep moving through people. So I'll say David.
Thanks, Nathan. And thanks for the opportunity to speak. As Sharon said, I share a lot of the same concerns folks have already voiced, so I won't repeat those. But I would just say that this really, the concern really is that this is opening the door to eventually accepting a project here or perhaps multiple projects. And we have fought long and hard in this town, I think, to preserve our natural area here. It's well known in this part of the state that this part of the state tends to be the dumping zone for unwanted projects and power and all the latest advancements for the urban areas of the state. And I think we really need to stand up for ourselves and perhaps put more energy into working with other towns that are likely to be victims of this as well. So I'd rather see more time devoted to that. And again, just appreciate the opportunity to speak and that you're considering this and thinking ahead. But I think we need to really be thinking creatively about how to address this onslaught of not only solar projects, but now these data centers. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, let's go with Mary Lou.
Okay, hi, I'm Mary Lou Conca. I live on Wendell Road, and I agree with the speakers before me. And I just have this to say that I would vote totally against a data center in any form. And I do believe, from what I'm hearing, from a lay person view, that they would cause more harm than good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou. And Jeremy.
Hey doing, Nate. Thank you for giving me some time. I
Ooh.
agree with everything that's been said. I think, with all of us living here, we share, this obviously beautiful community and the same concerns, and why we probably, moved here in the first place. I apologize if I missed some of the updates to the bylaws. I did watch the meeting from the 9th, but I'm not sure if wastewater has been thought of, doing some research. I've seen in the maintenance of some of these closed loop systems, they can produce substantial wastewater. I don't know if that's been taken into consideration in these bylaws. Also, the large generators that will be on site for backup and other times of high energy demands. Concerns of fuel storage and also excessive noise. And another thing I found pretty interesting, specific to Massachusetts, is Massachusetts currently has non-disclosures for water and energy consumption for these data centers. So I find it kind of ironic that the lack of transparency, with these things is just a major concern. And I think a data center in Shutesbury goes against everything that this town stands for.
Jeremy, thank you. Thank you, everyone who's come here, and I just also would like to remark on the overwhelming and robust public participation in this process. So I thank everyone who's been part of that, and I applaud our public here in Shutesbury for being involved in your local democratic processes. Very important work to be involved in. So thanks to all of you. Okay. Let's see. Next on our agenda, we have a quick note for landowner education and guidance. Is there anyone here who is seeking landowner education and guidance? Okay, hearing and seeing none. And Jeremy, if you could, I would ask that you lower your hand, please.
Yeah, sorry, I'm new to this Zoom meetings. It's not.
So it's quite all right.
I'm figuring out. Give me 1 second.
No worries. Take your time. Okay. So now we have minutes from March and January. And we'll start with January.
I'll move to approve the minutes of January 15th, 2026.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Michael Daycare moves, Jeff Weston seconds to approve the minutes from January 15th, 2026. Do we have any discussion?
Nope.
I just had one edit, which I sent to Mateo, which is at the top of page 2. It just clarifies something. It said, Mercer reminds the board of the town's bylaw format bylaw, which allows for these corrections, is the part that I added, just to say what the bylaw does.
Okay, perfect. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll call the roll. Bressler.
Aye.
Daycare.
Aye.
Pycroft.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
Weston.
Aye.
And I'll abstain. The minutes from January 15th have been approved. Motion carries. Next, we'll look at the minutes from March 9th, 2026.
I'll move to approve the minutes of March 9th, 2026.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Was that Jeff again?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so Michael has moved, Jeff has seconded that the planning board approve the minutes from March 9th, 2026. Do we have any discussion?
I do. I have to find it. It's on page 3 of 9. I have a lot on my plate. I wrote down something about was it said at town meeting or also a concern on our board? Let me find it.
Okay. And by the way, Ashley, did I forget to call you on the roll on the last vote?
No, I voted.
You did?
Yep,
I did call you.
you did.
Okay, good. Just every now and again I do miss somebody, so I apologize.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage.
No, it's all right. I just all right, so you're looking for your
I am. I'm looking at it right now.
should we see if
If anyone
someone-
else has anything, maybe they
Yeah.
go while I'm figuring this out.
I've got a few simple ones. So also on page 3, in the second paragraph, and I sent these to Mateo as well. In the second paragraph at the end, it said Fox suggests the board give the Lake District more consideration. I just suggested the Lake Wyola District to make it more clarifying. And then I was brave enough to question Mateo's grammatical writing. So Tom, you can jump in maybe, but I don't know if 24/7 should be written out as opposed to 24/7. I've never seen it that way. So I leave that to the grammatical gods. And then on the top of page 6, the second sentence, it says, Murphy expresses doubt that a micro data center facility would reduce much noise. I suggesting deleting it because two sentences before it basically says exactly the same thing. So it seemed like we didn't have to say it twice. And then the last thing was on page 6, when I asked to take a negative poll of board members, since that's not a normal thing, I just wrote, does anyone object to any of these? So to clarify what a negative poll is for the reader. So those are my suggestions. Oh, I actually had another one. I'm sorry. On page 8, when we were talking about the clean energy regs, I was explaining things, and so Daycare explains there is a new division under the DOR that is working on this. It's the Green Communities Division. So I just changed that. It's not a new division. There's a new division doing siting, but the bylaws are being done by the Green Communities folks.
I'll just chime in
Oh, go ahead.
for what it's worth. Thanks, Michael, for mentioning me about it. I would probably go with numbers, but I can read it just fine. But like 24/7, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought of it. But that's just my number 2 cents.
Michael, when you said defer to the grammar gods, I thought you probably mean Tom Seifert.
Tom and Mateo, it seems like the two of them are our literary experts.
Yes. All right. So mine is, it's simple, but it's on page 3. It's the first full paragraph, and it's where we're discussing, I believe it was Mayor Fox who brought up data centers at the lake, and she asked why the amendment is only for site plan review instead of special permit. Kira notes that because micro centers are small, a concern was raised at town meeting that some computer storage already in town, such as at the school, would fall into this category. And I guess I just want to add in that from the get-go, like maybe our first meeting where we started talking about the bylaw, that was brought up, that the school in town likely has something that could be classified as a data center. It wasn't just a concern raised at town meeting, it was raised here first as well, or just raised here as well. And that's all I've got. It does talk about that, we acknowledge that a little bit later in the text as well, but it's something that we had discussed pretty early on.
Now, Michael, you've given your edits to Mateo.
Yeah.
And Ashley, did you send this in to Mateo
No,
or no?
I can.
Okay.
Is that
Do
you?
you have the exact wording that you're looking to do?
I mean, it just came out of my head. I could write it. I also could go back to the initial meetings where we talked about this and dig and find where it was brought up.
Well,
Mateo's got his hand up.
Mateo,
So I would suggest going back to the recording of the March 9th meeting to see what was said, because even if it is true that the board had previously discussed it, the minutes are meant to capture what was talked about at the meeting. So
Okay.
unless somebody specifically said, as we discussed earlier or something, then the minutes should only reflect what was said.
Okay. Will do.
so in this case, are we good with it as is?
Actually, I think that's for you.
I mean, you can call the roll. Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right. Well, we'll leave that one. I will, anyone else? All right, I will, call the roll. Let's see, Bressler,
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't at the meeting.
okay, DeCara,
Aye.
Pycroft,
I'm going to abstain.
okay, Seifert,
As far as I understand it, minutes can be amended in the future as needed. I'm going to vote aye.
okay, Weston,
Aye.
okay, I'll vote aye so we can, get these, minutes approved and posted. The motion carries and, the planning board has approved the minutes from March 9th, 2026. Thank you. Now we can, we will move on to the next topic on our agenda, which is data centers. And as I understand it, Michael, you would like to say a few words?
Yeah, I would. So I apologize in advance because with open meeting law, it sort of makes it awkward not being able to convey these thoughts. But this is probably just a few minutes, but and I wrote it down so I could get it all. But so the planning board made a commitment to town meeting to try to create a data center bylaw. As we just talked about, we spent about 6 months doing our due diligence. And I personally spent many, many hours of this researching, consolidating, getting comments, getting input. I think I took this job seriously. I'm trying to find a consensus approach. I think we all worked really good together trying to find what the compromise was. And I think at the outset, two of the things I want to just acknowledge as motivation for doing the work. One was, Nathan's in particular articulated concerns that because we approved a use table at town meeting along with the moratorium, that if nothing happened, the use table would go into effect, so that the commitment was that we should be looking to see about doing something. And then also just to acknowledge that there are a variety of people in town who want to find ways to generate revenue for the town. I think people on the planning board as well, but just to acknowledge those two things. So throughout the last 6 months, I've been hopeful that we could craft something that would work. I think at this point, the complexity of this bylaw screams to me the fact that we're trying to push a square peg through a round hole. And I think after lots of reflection, the last public hearing, the public comments this afternoon, a lot of reflection on my point. I'm sort of returning to my initial concerns about data centers. And so, I was pushing for a moratorium to protect the town in the face of quickly evolving and potentially high impact technology, which is some people talked about. I think 6 months later, now that we're down this part of the road, it seems like data centers, the technology is still changing. And just on the research and getting people's feedback, it feels like there's more opinion and interpretations than there are really solid facts. So some observations that I have just personally, because I think, and part of the reflection for me was in crafting this, since I, took that job on, I was trying to take everyone's input and then synthesizing stuff, which means I didn't necessarily remember what I actually thought about it. So where I'm at, I think data centers undermine all the climate action that the state's trying to initiate by driving up energy usage as opposed to driving conservation. As was said by a few people, data centers are industrial use. I mean, that's where it is in the use table, and I think that makes sense. I think it's a mismatch for Shutesbury's rural character. Data centers, and this gets back to, like, I think our first meeting around the moratorium, Steve said it, data centers, unlike solar, are not a protected use. So we're not obligated to allow them. And I think I had a conversation this morning where someone was surprised that that was the case, but we're not. In terms of the revenue situation, which I think is legitimate, I just want to, for the record, put out the financial woes of the town. Then one, not unique to Shutesbury, it's true for rural Massachusetts. And they're not our creation, that they're based on broken formulas. Just recently I was in a meeting with Joe Comerford. She talked about Chapter 70 is broken, Chapter 90 is broken. The pilot we received for DCR lands, anyone who went to the trivia, I think it was 50 cents, $50 rather, per acre, as opposed to thousands in other places in the state. So there's structural deficiencies that are creating the financial challenges in the town. And so as I think about it, yes, we want to generate revenue, but how we do it is really important. And then the last thing, sort of touching upon what, Ashley had said, because this was actually clarifying, we did talk about the municipal light plant and the school both having, maybe needs for data centers for different reasons. But I think what I was reminded about is if the school built a data center, it would be a secondary use. The primary use is education. The MLP, I'm not quite sure how it got built, but if they wanted to expand, they're on the lot where the town is. So I think, as accessory uses, they would be allowed and it wouldn't be a barrier. And I think just looking to the future in terms of the revenue, something I just thought about a couple of weeks ago was what I'd like the planning board to do as much as we can looking forward is figure out how to create development that's consistent with Shutesbury's rural character and it plays to our strengths, and I think about Charlemont. So Charlemont's got Berkshire East, it's got Zor Outdoor, it's got zip lines. When I thought about that, I was like, well, we've got one summer camp and we used to have, 2. We could have more camps. We could maybe have environmental centers. We could have art centers. We could have retreats. We could have appropriately scaled housing, which we were struggling with. But all of those would generate revenue. And it would also contribute to the vitality of the town, which is sort of built into the purpose of this. So all of that's to say, I'd like to move to table further discussions of the data center bylaw and move to affirm the use of the use table prohibitions and definition approved by town meeting in September 2025. So that's my motion. And I apologize for surprising people. I've been struggling with how to convey this given open meeting law, et cetera, but hopefully someone will second that. And thanks for the time, Nathan, I appreciate it.
Sure.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table to table further discussion of data centers and to revert and to leave the amendment from special town meeting in place as is.
I mean, it stays that way anyway. It's more to affirm it. It's sort of saying the message that we're affirming that, because if we take no action, it'll be there anyway. But I think rather than just have it go into place by inaction, moving to affirm it is sort of, it's embracing it and saying those use table prohibitions we get behind.
But just to make sure we have the motion clear, it's table further discussion on data centers and affirm the amendment that was approved in special town meeting.
Yeah.
Can I ask, as a member of the planning board, can I ask for some clarification?
Yeah.
So we're talking about keeping the moratorium in place. Is that what we're talking about? Could you explain it to me? I'm not exactly sure. And also, to talk before we end the conversation about data centers. I really want to address the community that's here as well before we take this vote. Okay, Michael. So could you explain what the what the proposition is before we second it and vote on it? Thank you.
You
Well,
mind, Nathan, if I explain it?
the motion has been seconded, and I mean, you can, I was just going to quickly say, Michael, that, you know, what Michael has moved, Jeff, is simply to abandon the draft that we have, you know, been working on, and to let the changes that went in stand. That does include section, what was it, 8.13 or 8.14?
13.
8.13, which is moratorium on data centers, which says that, you know, for the purpose that we can, you know, draft a good regulation, and then that it expires June 30th. Of course, upon expiration, currently there's no data centers on the use table that are allowed. You know, there's a data center item in the use table with prohibited across the board in all 4 zoning districts. Does that answer your question, Jeff?
So, I'm sorry
Can I jump in, Jeff, real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
So there's 3 parts that we approved at town meeting. There's a definition of what a data center was. There was a use table for all 4 districts, and as Nathan just said, they were prohibited across. So basically, they would be prohibited in town. And then section 8.13 was the moratorium that ends. That actually, although we corrected it on town meeting floor, it got recorded as June 20th. So officially, it would end June 20th, and then it becomes obsolete. So in tabling the discussion for future amendment, if this get approved, what would remain are those 3 things, one of which is obsolete. So the definitions would continue, and the use table prohibition saying that it wouldn't exist in town would continue. And the moratorium would be there, but it, you know, at some point we could clean that up.
So my understanding, just to be very clear, is that if this vote is approved, data centers will not be allowed in Shutesbury. Is that correct, Michael? Am I reading this correctly?
That's my intent of this, yeah.
Is any other member of the planning board see this differently? Nathan, do you see this differently?
No.
Okay, so a positive vote here basically makes data centers illegal to have in Shutesbury. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would clarify that.
Yeah, not illegal. It's they're prohibited.
Prohibited.
I have a
I
question.
mean, I think
Oh, no.
obviously if the planning board, you know, recommends this, it would be hard to imagine any other outcome. And I'm at a loss for what would happen. But so what I'm getting at is, suppose that at town meeting that there's an amendment from the floor to push our draft that we, you know, approve for the public hearing forward.
Well, what I'm thinking, if this gets tabled, then there's nothing on the warrant. There's no warrant article because we're not proposing anything new. And so there's no one can offer an amendment for something that's not there. So it just wouldn't exist in the warrant because we're not proposing something new or tabling it. That was my thinking.
So in doing this, we would
make the meeting shorter.
Also ask the select board to remove the article entirely.
Yeah.
And there's I mean, you know, I'm not, you know, this, I feel like this is getting a little bit into a wishy-washy part of the process, but I mean, we've already contacted the select board and held a public hearing on a proposed amendment. Is there anyone that could, you know, is there any way that it must stay on the warrant because it's already been set in motion?
No. I mean, the warrant's not finalized.
Yeah. My understanding is that the warrant has to be turned in today, otherwise it doesn't appear in the town meeting. Is that correct as far as my knowledge?
I don't think so. I think
yeah, they had a desired deadline, but that's not like the legal deadline.
Right.
Mateo might know, and Tom might know.
So March 24th was the deadline under the bylaw for warrant articles to be submitted. The select board has reviewed the articles, as has Donna, and then tomorrow night's select board meeting at 4:30 is to vote to approve the warrant and sign it. So it hasn't been signed by the select board yet.
Do we have,
That'll be tomorrow, Mateo?
That's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's meeting at 4:30.
approved the warrant? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jeff, you broke up for a minute.
I'm sorry, it's my connection. Do we need to have a vote to affirm and tell the select board that we do not want this warrant to be presented? Do we need to vote on that?
Well, we already have a motion on the table that we would first need to dispose of, which could be amended to include that, or there could be an additional motion. So, let's leave that there for now, the question of the warrant. I'm just raising the question, because I don't know the answer to it. And, I just want it to be something that we think about. Even if, say it has to be on the warrant because we've submitted that to the select board and they say, no, you gave it to us, we're putting it on the warrant. If we recommend against doing it, I believe that it would just be tabled, and I would find it very unlikely that there would be any effort to amend that motion to table it or whatever. So I'm not really worried about it if that's the direction we go. I'm just trying to understand the different possibilities that could take place. So is there any other back to the question, which is, should we table this data center discussion? Who else would like to speak? I see Tom.
Thanks. If it might help, it's helped me because I brought it up while we're talking. The article on the town meeting warrant that was approved, or the special town meeting warrant. Because if I'm understanding correctly, this motion is as much as saying we keep this article as approved. And it felt as though it might help us visually, but maybe Jeff and other people have already gotten what they wanted to know in terms of what it would prohibit or not. But I just noticed things that technically I don't see the word prohibit in
the use table. It's all ends.
But in the table it says N. And so just little things like that, I thought it might help. Should I display my screen, in other words, and show people this article warrant?
Yeah, please.
Article, or is it moot?
Tom,
we can see it.
Yeah, I think the September article is moot because we changed. Assuming the Attorney General approves it, it's what the changes were.
Were there motions on the floor, you mean?
No, so the use table is now assuming the Attorney General approves what we did, which I don't know if we ever heard back yet, but
they did approve it.
Okay, so if it's approved, so then the use table basically right now says no data centers in any district, and there's a new definitional paragraph about data centers.
Right. Yeah, and this is just that language exactly that was inserted, so it's like you can just read it on one screen.
Okay, sure.
Going to the different sections.
Yeah, bring it up.
Go ahead.
Because I don't think it's posted on the website.
It's hard. You can Google it and find it. So I will hit a send request for share, please. Okay, so maybe I can do that. And sometimes my computer takes a moment, but hopefully you're seeing Article 10. Is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it readable? So would your motion, or would this motion essentially say this is staying what we're seeing?
Yes, that's exactly what it says.
Okay.
The affirmation is symbolic. This is already law of the land.
Okay, so the tabling keeps this, and the affirmation gives it a spirit or something. Okay. Sorry, I'm ad-libbing. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an intentionality.
So I think it's been answered already, but my concern, and Michael, I appreciate how you articulated all of this, and I also appreciate everyone who's here. Like, there has not been a single person who's shown up and said, "Yay, please build data centers." My concern was that it says the moratorium will be in place until June 20th, 2026. And what you are saying is that if we table our bylaw, that the use table stays as it is. Why is that? Can anyone explain it to me? Is it because 311 is different than 813?
Well, when Nathan and I met with Donna before the September meeting, originally, when I had written the draft in the summer, it was use table, it was ends all the way across, and then there's a little asterisk underneath that said, until June 30th. And Donna said, you can't put a conditional time on a use table. A use table is what it is. And so that's when she said, take the moratorium language and make a new section. So 8.13 is the moratorium. And so there are three distinct parts. There's a definition that exists, there's a use table that exists, and then a moratorium that exists. The moratorium is temporary. The other two will just remain because they're there. And until we decide to change them, they continue on.
So 813 is moot if as we table this tonight, and the moratorium stays indefinitely. Okay.
But 813 has always been moot.
Yeah, it'll be moot on June 20th.
Right.
Now, I think Jeff has some words he'd like to say. And before you start, Jeff, note that you're on mute, and Tom, if you would stop sharing. Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff. Don't forget to unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Michael. I'm in complete.
He froze on the compliment.
Can you hear me?
No.
Good. I've been in these meetings for a full year, and I have a few words that I'd like to share with the planning board and also members of who maybe voted for me. We promised our due diligence and explore the possibility of having data centers in Shutesbury, and that's exactly what we have done. At the end of our work, the conclusion is very clear. Data centers do not belong in Shutesbury. At the present time, under our current laws, the construction of data centers is not allowed, and hopefully it will continue to be not allowed. Passing the bylaw, as we know, would allow an unknown number of data centers to come in. I want to say a few words about these data centers just to be on record. Data centers would need large lithium batteries, which have been known to spontaneously catch on fire. Lithium batteries contain PFAS, or forever chemicals, that are linked to liver and kidney damage, as well as several forms of cancer at very low concentrations. The EPA has established legally enforceable limits of PFAS at 4 parts per trillion. That's one drop in 5 Olympic swimming pools. Data centers would also contain heavy metals, organic solvents, petroleum products, all of which could enter our groundwater and contaminate our single aquifer that supplies 100% of the water to our town. Our town has already spent $700,000 for testing and water filtration systems for the 50+ homes that have their water supplies contaminated by PFAS and other harmful molecules. We do not want any additional possible sources of contamination. Since water cooling will not be permitted, these proposed air-cooled data centers produce significant noise 24/7. Their low-frequency hum from cooling fans and chillers can travel more than 2 miles and is able to penetrate walls and windows more effectively than high-frequency noise, because low-frequency travels like a bullet, high-frequency goes up and down, low-frequency travels much better through everything. These persistent, hard-to-escape low-frequency sounds can lead to sleep disturbances, chronic headaches, as well as stress and increased anxiety. The proposed bylaw actually stated the noise of the data center shall not create a negative impact for abutters or the natural environment, or noise shall not pass beyond the property line. This is folly. This does not even make sense. How can the generation of low-frequency hum that can travel more than 2 miles and easily pass through walls and windows not have a negative impact on abutters or the natural environment? It makes no sense. Using 100 kilowatt per rack, which is the current standard right now, of 0.4 million BTUs per hour. And NVIDIA actually has announced that next year they'll be bringing in racks that are 1 million kilowatts. That's 10,000 amount. Our bylaw states, a data center shall not cause the ambient temperature to create a negative impact for the natural environment. How can the generation of 3.4 million BTUs per hour not have a negative impact? You know, I've taught biology, chemistry, physics, and ecology for 37 years. 37. This does not even make any sense. This massive amount of heat will generate heat islands that cause temperature spikes and ecological stress on our delicate native plants and animals that live in our wetlands and microclimates. Finally, what would be the real cost of having these data centers? Would they even produce a negative revenue flow? During this year, I have not been in one conversation about how much money would they possibly bring in. Our town has already spent tens of thousands of dollars of legal fees fighting so dangerous lithium batteries. Given our limited emergency response capability, what would be the possible cost if we needed to upgrade our volunteer fire department or improve our limited road access due to the potential dangers of wildfires caused by these lithium batteries? For these reasons and possible irreversible damage to the animals, plants, and I strongly urge you to keep Shutesbury data centers free by defeating this law. And that's what I've learned over a year of being in these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for that very impassioned statement. Okay, anybody else on the planning board have any thing they want to add here? I haven't heard from you, Steve.
I'm agreeing with everybody, previous comments. In addition to when I read through all the changes and additions to that bylaw, I said, there's no way in hell the planning board could even, walk through those steps. But I'm in total agreement about no data centers at this point. I don't think I've seen a bylaw that long and detailed before, at least a drafted one in 20 some odd years.
All right.
Can I say one more thing? It took
Yeah,
a lot of time and a lot of effort. And when I was thinking about tonight's meeting, I was feeling some guilt just because of how hard people worked on it. And it's been a learning process. And I'm really pleased about what has been said so far. It's just, there's too many things that are just that we don't know. And it seems very prudent to wait this out. And it just feels a lot better to have a moratorium on them right now. I am in no rush to push this forward for this town.
Can I say one other thing, Nathan?
I want to say thank you, particularly to Michael and Keith and Nathan, and particularly Michael. I mean, it was a lot of work, and I mean, it was the substance of almost a year of meetings for us, and it's been an interesting process. But I'm pleased at the tide it seems to be taking this evening.
Yeah, I'll just riff off of that real quickly and say, I'm glad we did all the research and we had all the discussions. I mean, I think, as a board, we worked well together. We tried to problem solve. We gathered a lot of information, which we didn't have in August and September. So it was fruitful and it got us to where we are. So, would have loved to spend my time doing something else, but I think it was really fruitful to get some clarity. And you know, I think I appreciate our collectively trying to figure it out, but when I step back, it's like, okay, you know, you put in a lot of hours, but in the big picture, for me, where did I start and what do I think the evaluation was? It just doesn't feel right. It's a mismatch.
All right. Now, I wondered if we would go down this road tonight. I was going to suggest that we, get the draft in order and then have the soul searching conversation when we get to the recommendation piece. But I guess this is quicker. I personally would like to at least consider amending the motion or taking a slightly different action to remove data centers from the use table altogether and rest on the established precedent of prohibitory bylaw, where unless the use is listed as allowed in the use table, then it's not allowed. And to I think you can leave the definition of data centers in there, which makes it something that's not light industry. And the thing I would probably suggest doing, if anyone has any appetite for this road, would be to just replace the moratorium with change the title, section data centers, and just say no data center shall be permitted unless the bylaw is amended to have unless the bylaw is amended to show an allowable use for data centers in section, in the use table section, right? Just to kind of, clean it up a little bit, but that's not that important. It's the same effect either way. That's just more my my sentiments of kind of just not having things in the use table that are not allowed.
Are you actually, you want to move?
I haven't moved. I'm asking if anyone has any would consider that. I mean, if not, I'm not gonna put up a huge fight. It's just a friendly ask, but
Can I ask why?
well, I think it kind of goes back to Michael Pill's comment in our public hearing last year, where he said, you've got it laid out in your use table section. Let's well, I'm actually going to just read it just so I can. Section 3.1-1 use table, which is under section 3.1 allowable uses. Section 3.1, this bylaw is intended to protect the character of Shutesbury's existing landscaping and historic settlements while allowing flexibility of land use and new development that is in keeping with the town's rural character. Right. The use table that follows indicates allowable uses in the districts shown. See Article 13 for definitions of the use categories. Uses that are not listed below are prohibited unless state or federal laws preclude such prohibition. So that was my reason for it. If you have this clause here, and then you have things that are in the use table and explicitly and just prohibited across the board, one, I don't think it's necessary, and two, I think it creates a contradiction that I would just assume not have in our bylaw. So that's my reasoning. But like I said, I'm not trying to spend all night talking about it. Either you guys are willing or you're not.
So I'll jump in. I mean, because I feel like that's retreading the conversation we had with Donna this summer, because you made that argument and Donna was really clear that the more clear we are, and the reason she supported putting it in the use table is that we have a definition and we say it's not there, because if it's, even though it's true that if it's not listed in the use table, then you have to defend it. Where if it's in the use table and it's defined in the bylaw, you don't have to defend it. Everyone knows. It's like a big sign that says it's not allowed and this is what they are. Otherwise, someone can say, well, this is, you know, what we're proposing. It just gets, it's more murky. I mean, Donna's recommendation is very clear.
Donna's recommendation was that there was not a problem that you could have something in the use table across the board. She was more or less unconcerned with no's across the board, but I don't think that her recommendation was that, to be clear, you need to have things in the use table as prohibited, because that's just not true. Okay, well, I think it's like settled. I mean, I can't cite case law. I wish I had gone down that road, but I mean, I wasn't quite anticipating this part of the argument, to be honest. But it's just, it's it's in black and white already that if it's not allowed in the use table, it's not allowed. You don't have to argue. It's simple. But I mean, that's, if you don't want to do it, if you want to rely on that, I mean, that's fine. I'm not gonna fight about it. I just wanted to make the ask. So I see a few other hands up. Let's see, Ashley, you'd like to?
Yeah, just quickly to acknowledge what you were saying. I appreciate your insight. I think based on the way the town voted at town meeting last year for this moratorium, and based on the sentiment that's been expressed, and based on my own heart, I feel strongly that a moratorium should be clear in our use table for data centers.
Well, there's no moratorium in the use table.
Sorry, that it should be prohibited in the use table. That data center should be prohibited in Shutesbury in the use table. In 311, right?
Yeah, 3.1-1.
Yeah.
Steve.
There's just no downside to keeping it as is. It's crystal clear. You don't have to go hunting for it. I understand your point, but we've already got it. Why make more work for ourselves at this point?
That's fair enough. Not worth the squeeze. All right. Anyone else? All right, then I will call the roll.
Excuse me, Nathan, there was some talk about making sure that the select board knows exactly what we want and incorporating that into what we're doing right now, or do we do a separate vote? I just want some clarification regarding our decision.
I would say, Jeff, if the motion passes and it's tabled, then we can discuss how to deal with it. But right now, it's not a done deal.
Thank you. Bressler?
Are we voting on the motion now?
So the motion we're voting on is to table the discussion on data centers and to reaffirm the amendment that passed in a special town meeting September 30th, 2025.
In that case, aye.
Okay. Daycare.
Aye.
Pycroft.
Aye.
Seifert. Weston.
Aye.
Abstain. Motion carries. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I suppose we'll consider our next part of the agenda, which is what do we have?
And so Nathan, I thought
Decide
about this.
on review language for annual town meeting. That's not PB report to town meeting. I guess
we don't really need a report anymore.
Yeah, so we'll just rather than doing a report, we'll just send a letter to the select board, email to the select board, and say the planning board voted to table.
We could just move, to Jeff's point, we could just move to communicate to the select board to remove the warrant article about data centers from annual town meeting warrant. In fact, I'll move that.
Okay. The
Second,
motion is to email the select board. Do you want to clarify that a little bit? You want, you know, I would be happy to do it as chair. I'll just send an email and say that the planning board voted to table that and to just reaffirm the amendment that was passed at special town meeting in September.
Yeah, I'll just clarify. So the planning board requested the chair communicate to the select board our desire to remove the data center warrant article from this annual town meeting warrant.
Okay. And do I have a second?
I am clear, or I don't know if I would word it that way. I didn't know
Okay.
if now is the time to mention that.
What would you say?
Well, as I understood it, it's not actually on the warrant at this
No, it
moment in
isn't.
time. So I would communicate something perhaps like the planning board voted tonight to do the two things we just did. Table it and affirm the special town meeting vote, and as a result has no article for the warrant. And maybe just, you know, leave it at that. Because it's kind of the predication of what we just did. That we kind of reserved a dummy slot the way I looked on it.
If I may, you know, let's not get too specific about this. You know, just because there are, as I see it, you know, I'm not convinced that there's not some potential for variables. So I would say that, you know, have a general to, you know, communicate the vote and the intent to, you know, not have a warrant article, or if there is one, to withdraw it, what have you. You know, just keep it vague and we'll
Fair
go
enough.
from there.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll cover the bases in the email and you'll all see it.
got it.
Thanks, Nathan. That sounds good.
If that's
All right.
the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, yeah, all right. So the motion on the table is that the planning board requests that the chair contact the select board, inform them of the vote that we just had, which was the table our data center bylaw amendment, and reaffirm the zoning amendment that passed at special town meeting last year in September. And to take any steps, any action relative thereto. Any discussion on this? All right, I'm going to call the roll. Bressler.
Aye.
Kira.
Aye.
Pycroft.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
Weston. I'll abstain. The motion carries. All right, we're moving right along here, folks.
Can I ask
Here,
who seconded that motion? Just for the minutes.
Tom Seifert seconded the motion.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I can do a quick member update about clean energy if we have time and you want to hear it.
Yeah, please, you know, I think if we look at the agenda, we're at member updates, so let's and you know, Michael, I'm sorry. I gotta stop you there because for months I've been meaning to just note that I was looking at my electric bill. Now, I want to say the other day, but it's been months, and I noticed something a little bit different about it, and I saw that there was a new aggregation or something like that in there. So I just wanted to, offer you my congratulations on making that happen. Doing that kind of thing is a monumental achievement. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's definitely all of ECAC, and Nate Hurd took the lead on that, but I will accept the thank yous on behalf of the committee.
Yeah, please convey my my congratulations to Nate Hurd and the rest of the committee, please. Thank you.
Thanks for those.
Yeah.
So Sharon,
go ahead with your...
Okay, cool. Thanks, Nate. So I'll try to keep this brief, but I've been telling other towns this, and I reported to the select board, but we didn't have a chance because we've been doing other stuff. So as I think you all know, I've been sort of tracking the clean energy law, which passed in November 2024, and then the regulations have been in process since then. So the regulations go in effect July 1st of this year, and there's a lot to them. The two things I think are important now, and we could do more substance next month if it makes sense. But the premise of the clean energy quote unquote reform was, this is my opinion, but the state felt that we weren't deploying clean energy quickly enough in the state. And they deduced that they decided the reason was those pesky municipalities were not doing things quick enough. This is my editorial comment, but they sort of forgot the fact that planning boards and Concoms, et cetera, work according to statute. So the fact that it's like herding cats is by their design. But what they ended up doing was they streamlined it. So they created in the clean energy law a consolidated permit, which is a new concept. And so this will affect us if ever we get a solar, wind, or battery storage project. And so municipalities are still allowed to regulate solar and wind under 25 megawatts, of which there's none currently in the state, and under 100 megawatts battery storage. So that would be in our purview to regulate. Anything above that goes to the Energy Facilities Siting Board, which is the state. So in the consolidated permit process, the thing that's really different and concerning is a municipality as an entity has to make all its decisions within 12 months. So by comparison, when the planning board considered Wheelock, it was over 2 years. And so the idea is to and there's no extension. So oftentimes, like we could, by mutual agreement, extend a deadline. But the way the law was written, whether it was intentional or an oversight, I'm not sure, but it's 12 months drop dead. And so basically what has to happen is that any permitting body that's concerned with clean energy, and it varies town by town, but in our case, it would be, the planning board would have to make a decision and the Concom. I'm still a little murky about it. The Board of Health would have to do something, but anyone that would have to provide a permit, we could do it separately, but each you would have to make a decision one way or the other before 12 months. And if any didn't, then it would be constructively approved. And so DOER has a whole bunch of conditions that if constructively approved, what would kick in. The two things just in the short version that are important, one, the select board already addressed when I presented to them about a month or so ago, which is the way the regulations are written, municipalities can start accepting consolidated permits on July 1st, but they have to start accepting them on October 1st. And so the select board agreed to have us, town of Shutesbury, accept them starting October 1st. And so the regulations say you have to decide that, and then you have to publicize it. And according to DOER, publicize it can be as easy as putting it on the website, which I think at this point we might have done. Mateo might know. The other part, which is a little more complicated, which Nathan and Mateo are aware of, is the state created a new role called the local government representative. And that person is supposed to be, I see it as sort of like the conductor making the trains run. So unlike the current process where a special permit application, will come to town in a particular articulated way through statute, and the same thing with Concom, it will now go to one person who's designated as the local government representative. By state law, it's the chief executive of the town. So in our case, it's a select board. So by default, it would be the select board. Clearly, I don't think that's the appropriate place. The conversation that we can subsequently have, but I know that Mateo and Nathan had a little set of comments during the select board meeting, is because we're fortunate enough to have Mateo shared already between the Concom, the ZBA, and the planning board, he's in a good position to do it. The question is, there's more work to be done, new consolidated application process than there currently is. And it's both administrative and substantive. So it seems like there could be more hours than Mateo might be currently doing if it all ran the way it currently is designed, but we won't know until it happens. And then the challenge is for every municipality, you don't know if and when you're going to get an application. So you don't want to hire staff people or assign hours and then not get anything. One of the things that I've actively pitching with the legislature, I pitched to DOR, but they didn't listen, was to allow municipalities to do the 53G consultant route, which is what we would do if we had stormwater experts for an application, we would be able to get money from the applicant, put it into our bank account, and then hire an expert to do it. And so the hope would be that towns would be able to hire someone who, could then manage this whole process. But that's like an advocacy hope. It's currently not the case. So currently we have to figure out who's going to be Shutesbury's local government representative. At this point, we have till October 1st. I raised it a couple of months ago only because I was thinking if we're doing the budget, this would be the time to sort of plan budgetarily. It didn't happen. It's not the end of the world. We don't have an application in front of us, but I'd say right now, for purposes of this meeting, those are the two things, knowing that we won't get a consolidated permit until October 1st. We don't have a local government representative identified. So right now it's the select board. And then, Nathan, if we want to go into other stuff. Oh, the other big thing, this is the other thing, which in the minutes, remember it came up that Green Communities Division of DOER was developing the model bylaws. I have a feeling they're having a little hard time because it was supposed to be out a month ago and they keep saying it's coming soon. There's this huge inconsistency. So I've been to several presentations now by DOER, and what they verbally say is municipalities don't have to change their current bylaws. So you don't have to change our solar bylaw. If you had energy storage in there, you wouldn't have to change it. But the model bylaws are coming out and they're going to sort of create lay of the land. And I just personally can't see how one can comply. Like there's a lot of Dover Amendment gray areas in there. So I think it's really murky and I don't have clarity because the model bylaws haven't come out yet. And I've asked lots of questions and haven't gotten any answers. So I think that's the big thing for us next is when they come out, I'll be evaluating them anyway. So I'm happy to share to figure out do we have to change something? When do we have to change it by? The other thing I'll just say is when I did my public comments to the DOER, I said, if towns have to change their bylaws to comply because the effective date is July 1st and we haven't seen them yet, everyone's going to have to go to a special town meeting in order to have their bylaws passed. So as I understand it, and I think Tom and Mateo can probably confirm, I think we have a special town meeting scheduled for September. So if we had to change our bylaws, what does that mean? Could we hit it, hit something by September 1st? That's like a huge question mark. And I think that's the active ambiguity that, is going to be before us, but I don't have more information on that yet. That's it.
All right. Tom?
Thanks. Just if you happen to know quickly, Michael, how does a local government representative get chosen or changed from being the CEO of the town? If that's what it is by default, do they designate somebody else? So
Yeah,
is he a select board
board.
designee?
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hmm. I think I'm thinking about scheduling the next meeting for hybrid in town hall. All right. Nice. We'll go back to fully remote when the snow flies in the fall.
It would be it's nice to spend some time together in person. That would be really wonderful for me.
Me
That's the
too.
11th, right?
Pardon me?
May 11th?
Oh.
I'm looking at the calendar real quick.
Excuse me, Nathan.
Mary Lou,
Yeah.
would you like to speak?
Yes, please, if I may. It's really quick. Jeff, I am so impressed with how you spoke that it's leaving me speechless except to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you can convey that kind of message to a greater audience at town meeting, although I think you all, you talk in your own lingo, and half the time I really don't know what you're saying. But best I took from this is I think you all are not going to go forward with anything that's going to allow data centers anyway. And again, I just want to thank you, Jeff, for speaking the way you spoke.
Mary Lou, thank you so much. I want to return by saying this town is very, very lucky to have this planning board. We are a very devoted planning board. This is all volunteer. It's like a family in some ways. We stick with each other. We have arguments, and we come up with as much of a consensus as we can. So I want to thank you, but also I want to say that this town is incredibly lucky to have this planning board, and I feel honored to be a part of it.
Very good.
What do you mean we have arguments?
I want to go on vacation together.
All right.
We're gonna do it at the new Shutesbury retreat.
I'm saying good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
Thank you. Jeremy, you want to chime in as well?
Yes, I do. I just want to commend all of you. I caught wind of this not too long ago, and can definitely tell the amount of work that was put in, to all of this, and really appreciate your efforts. And I just want to especially thank Jeff and Michael, for your words. I couldn't agree with you more, and I think it sounds like a large majority of us feel the same way. It's what this town is about, and I'm glad that we're protecting what we all love. And on a second note, Michael, I'm very intrigued about the mention of further recreation and utilize what makes this town so wonderful as far as outdoor recreation and things of that sort. I'd love to hear more, going forward. I know this isn't the time for it, but, definitely keep me in the loop, Nate. And I know I can probably get a hold of you through the grapevine, and hope to have further discussions about how we can bring revenue into this town, because I know that's obviously, imperative as well. But I don't think data centers would have fit what we represent as a town and what we all love about it.
This town is special because of people who want to participate and who care. So that's what makes the town. So thank you so much for coming, and thanks for being part of the conversation. I really like all the terrible things that are happening. So in just moving through this and coming to a greater clarity about who we are and what we want. Thank you.
I think we all share that the same passion for this beautiful place, and seem like we're all on the same page to keep it that way, because we could have all the money in the world, and what's a town that you don't want to live in?
Yeah, good, right.
Jeremy, there is an opening for a vacancy for associate member on the planning board, FYI.
FYI, there's a vacancy. There's going to be a vacancy as of
July 1st.
Yeah. No, it'll be on May 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
May
concern
9th
is when I do things, I want to give it 110%. And I have 2 young kids that I cart around all the place and keeping them in line and stuff.
You're a go-getter, so write your name in?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No good deed goes
but
unpunished,
this has been something new to me, and this whole process, and it's definitely intrigued me to be much more active and involved in things in the town. So I appreciate all your efforts.
It's fun doing this with kids.
So yeah, I'm lucky my wife came home early enough that they weren't asking for me every 10 minutes. So I'm glad I was able to sit down and actually take part in this. So, in the future, I'll definitely put more effort to be more active in it. But definitely would like to hear some ideas and maybe give some myself, as it pertains to what Michael had mentioned briefy.
Jeremy, feel free to find me through the grapevine, and thank you for your comments.
Will do. So it's bedtime for my youngins, so I appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathan, I got two quick things, just picking up with that. So in the thank you category, I just wanted to thank you because, I struggled with this the last few days of coming around to thinking about this, but it's sort of it's nothing that we were planning on, and it's sort of almost you're forced to do it out of the blue, because you can't tell everybody, hey, this is what I'm thinking. So you took it in stride as chair, and I know you have slightly different opinions. So just your grace in managing it, I would just appreciate. So I wanted to thank you. And then I think the other thing is just in terms of the, coming up with revenue generation that plays to the character of the town. I'm totally up for trying to think about that as for next school year, as we turn the corner and you say, oh, what are we doing next year? I don't quite know how to incentivize that kind of stuff, but it'd be worth a conversation to figure out if there's ways of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for the kind words, Michael. And I was really wondering what was going to happen. I knew this was a possibility, and I kind of thought we would do the draft, and I was going to say, all right, so are we going to have a soul searching moment here? Are we really going to put this forward? And then on one hand, I might have I would have abstained if I could, but if there was not if I would have been a deciding vote, I would have certainly considered voting for it in the affirmative in the spirit of bringing it to town meeting. But it's that's not always the case. It's a good outcome, I think, and it'll make town meeting a lot more efficient.
Yeah, we'll win points.
So
we could do that. You could communicate as a placeholder. This efficiency brought to you by the planning board.
Thanks. I also want to echo what Michael said, Nathan. I really appreciate your leadership and openness to having this discussion and your openness to whatever the results would be. So it showed a lot of grace and trust in the consensus of the group. And so thank you for your leadership and all the effort that you've put in. It's amazing. You've got two little kids and you're doing this. I could never do it with two little kids. So thank you. It's a great amount of energy that you're putting in because I know you care a lot about the town, and I appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, Jeff. I appreciate it. Yes, it's been quite a remarkable journey these last 6 months or so. I think that covers updates. I don't know if you
I have a member update. Just a quick. I did reach out, Nathan, I CC'd you, so you probably saw it. I reached out
to
the Wheelock folk and just haven't had a response. I just said, this is following up from our last meeting. I just, reached out and said, we noticed that the 2025 report was on our website, and we had a conversation at planning board and none of us received it. So I'm just reestablishing a connection with you and was curious who you sent it to and how it got there. And, and I thanked them for sending it. So I got one out of office message from the fellow, I can't remember his name, and I haven't heard back from the other person.
I
Yeah,
think
I think they might
Okay.
send it to the select board.
Yeah. I wanted to comment on that. Last time we went, I don't know if anyone remembers, there are grasses growing right next to the lithium battery, right to the center area that had possibly some Native American sites. So that could spread right from the grass right to that area, and we would be in a disaster land. So if we could somehow maybe have that on the agenda of maybe bringing a truckload of gravel, so at least we have a barrier between the lithium batteries and the forest. There's grass growing right up to it. So anyway, I wanted to bring that into consciousness.
Okay. And Nathan, what did you say? I should also CC the select board, or I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
I said that I think they may have sent the report to the
To the
select board.
select board. That would make sense.
Or the town administrator, right? And then from there, it could have just made its way to
The website.
Gail on anyone on the web committee really to just get posted, which would be unusual that would happen without any of us knowing about it, but not that unusual. So,
Okay.
we don't own the page. It's a town website, so it's the web committee does have authority over that. Oh yeah, and then we yeah. So May 11th is the next meeting. And yeah, and there's, just to be clear, as of the election on May 9th, because there's also a town election on the 9th, right? That will be with Deacon not running, and as far as I know, nobody is running.
Yeah, just Steve and I. So two
Right,
out of
it's just
five.
sorry, you two are running, yes, but nobody. No, there's no third or fourth person. There's a vacant seat without anyone running for it. And Michael and Steve are running for another term. Thank you both for your continued engagement here, and I wish you the best of luck. And so that would mean that we should be encouraging people like Jeremy and whoever else we meet to go ahead and step in, possibly as a associate, maybe not, and we'll go from there. We'll certainly begin discussions on potential appointments, I would imagine, right? We'll probably when we're having the meeting, it's
Yeah, we should definitely do that in May because they'll make appointments in June and we'll have to sort of do our both committee thing.
Yeah, should I do another town announce then? Just before in the next few days, if I can get to it. Maybe next week, or maybe I'll see if Mateo will do it. He's so good with that. Mateo, would you send out a town announce for us to look for associate members and also, anyone that's interested? Actually, well, yeah, anyone that's interested in you know what? Let's stick with associates for now. There could be some kind of write-in thing that happens, so we shouldn't put the cart before the horse on that. So
Yeah.
we'll stick with associates only on in between now and town meeting. Would you be able to do that, Mateo?
Yep, I can do that. And with the open third seat, that does mean that somebody would only need to get one write-in vote in theory to get elected. So you could end up with another planning board member through write-ins.
Just write my name down. I'll be elected. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Mateo, with Dillman in mind, from the trivia thing, we could write you in, and maybe you'd have like a third of his town official status.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, tell them it was really impressive.
Henry Dillman, when he enlisted in World War II, left 12 public offices vacant in Shutesbury because he was serving in 12 different offices at the time. And he was, I think, what was he? He was 34, I think.
And that was, which war again?
That was in
World War II.
1944.
Puts us all to shame.
That, I think that was probably like a real, in Shutesbury, I feel like around the Depression era, like everyone, a lot of people left the area. You know, there had been some activity here before then with maybe like the railroads or whatever, and then things totally petered out. And then at some point, people started coming back because they're like, "Oh, we like the woods."
Okay. Hey, Nathan, just to clarify, we're definitely in person, May 11th? We should plan on that?
Yeah, I would like to do it.
Okay.
And you know, if I forget, please remind me after but I'll yeah, I would like to do that. I've been thinking about that for a while, and seems like a decent time to do it. But it's nice now. It's nice to you get out and about a little bit on a nice summer evening, right? Why not? Or spring evening. That's being in May. Do we have anything else that we need to talk about? I don't think we do. I think this will be nice to have a meeting end before 9 o'clock, huh?
Yeah. I'll move to adjourn.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone want to second that motion?
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
All right. I'm gonna say that Steve seconds. So the motion is to adjourn. Any discussion? No? All right. I'll call the roll. Bressler.
Aye.
DeCara.
Aye.
Hycroft.
Aye.
Seifert.
Aye.
Weston.
Aye.
And I am an aye. The motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Good
you
night,
all.
all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you in May.